Elephant ears are often cultivated for the tropical lushful look, especially the lavish size and color texture. Here I want to share to you my tips on how I care and cultivate my Black Colocasia collections in my tropical garden. Hello, I'm James David and welcome to Garden Chronicles. Cover some few basics here when it comes to this particular plant. Here in this video, I'll be showing progressively how I grow them from a small plant to this lushful huge size. Do stay with me to the end of the video where I'll be sharing to you with all my care tips and how I care and maintain them, and I'll be sharing it in a comprehensive manner. First thing first, this particular type of plant is considered as an aquatic plant, hence is very much featured as a swamp plant or bog plants, and very much cultivated for pond features, especially for koi pond, waterfall features or fountain features. So do take note where this particular plant requires to be in a place where the soil mix has to be very much waterlogged, because without that this particular plant will actually dry out, and you will find that the leaves will wither away or burn away for the lack of water on the soil. Another main point to note is that this particular type of elephant ear plant, mainly these Black Colocasia plants, require direct hot sun. I must tell you that I've tried many times keeping them in semi-shade or in half sunlight. They do not do well. Often it has end up having a lack of color, or in worst case scenario it has managed to get these pest attacks. So I find that when it comes to do this particular plant, it won't do very well in semi-shade or full shade, or even as an indoor plant. So the direct hot sun does make a very big point, especially in this kind of circumstances. Another factor that I have not tried, maybe it might work, is perhaps you may try to use and cultivate them using grow light. That might help to cover the need of the hot and bright sunlight. When it comes to pest attack, especially growing them in semi-shade garden, I find that they always get attacked with spider mites, aphids, and at times scale insect, which has been brought by ants, which have been supposedly farming upon them, and also even mealybugs. So in a way, I find that when this particular type, when they get stressed, I believe they release a kind of a pheromone where this particular type of pests get attracted to them and only attack these plants. So do keep note that especially these types of elephant ears, when they are cultivated, bright direct hot sun and also rain helps them to become more hardy, where the sun and the rain supposedly wash off all the pests and somehow makes them more durable and strong in this kind of condition. Here in this collection, I have also showing to you the different types of elephant ears, namely Alocasias and Colocasias. I will also put their names so that you can actually identify them, the different types that I actually have in my collection, which I find that it's worth growing them as collective plants. When it comes to plant identification, I always find out there is a slight confusion when it comes to the name Alocasia and the name Colocasia, and I found out there is a vast difference. Why are they named separately even though they are known as Alifonias? I have found that Alocasias appear to be a toxic plant which is not for edible uses, whereas Colocasias were considered as a crop plant and often used as an edible plant, where at times the young shoots, the leaf stalks, or also the tubers were actually cooked and be consumed as food. So what I want to mention to you here is, though there are two different classifications and they are identified differently as Alocasia and Colocasia, here I'm actually growing them as an ornament plant. Do check carefully and do your own research in case you are planning to consume them as food. Few factors I would like to talk about this particular one, the Black Ripple Colocasia. If you have noticed, it actually has a leaf structure where it has some ripples on it. This is one of the strong features of this particular plant. Unlike some Colocasias, this particular breed does not turn green. If you have noticed, this one has the younger leaf do not have the ripple effect. There is a type that is known as black coral, will have a full feature of that matted type, especially like this. In a bigger version, the whole leaf will appear to be like this for a black coral version. But when it comes to Black Ripple, only Black Ripple have this feature where the leaves appear to be corrugated. So this is the two difference that you can actually notice. Another part of it which I've recently noticed, that it does have a slight greenish tones on it. This is where it actually photosynthesis. Also remember to give them heavy fertilizer on it, because of the lack of the green colorization on the leaves. They cannot photosynthesize, so therefore they may not able to create their own food. So we do have to have a strong fertilizer for it to able to grow big. You notice over here, this is actually a matured leaf, and normally I will trim it off, but for this particular video I'm just showing to you that when the leaves is spent, this is how it appears to be. I must say that Black Ripple Colocasia is very difficult to cultivate, so you must get it correctly done because it's not a hardy plant. One of the most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, it must be waterlogged, and this is what I am actually showing to you. It is actually a container where the water is sitting on the soil medium. Normally I will check on a daily basis because I don't want to have a mosquito breeding on it, so I will only top up in the morning once the water dried out. So do check on it on this factor, whereas the downside, if your place is a highly breeding mosquito area, do fill up the soil with the brim so that there won't be much of a water log in it. What I actually use, another tip that I can mention to you, is that use the pot which does not have draining hole. That way the water can be constantly moist and able to hold water, so you don't have that problem. Fertilizer is one of the most important thing over here. Do use organic fertilizer, especially for the strong leaf development. What I actually use is the Lotus tablet, and I will actually use it once a week and sometimes twice a week depending on the plant structure. What I suggest to you is try out and see what actually works best for you. Another important factor that I want to mention to you is do check on the leaves time to time to see if there is any pest infestation on them, especially at the back of the leaf. What I want to tell you here is that you will not know when suddenly, by not checking on it, the heavy infestation, and you may have to trim off all the leaves because of bats infection. Normally, I have found in my experience, spider mites seems to attack them very badly compared to most of the other pests. So do check on the circumstances where if you have spider mites, you can actually use organic pest control such as neem oil and neem soap, which actually helps to deter them. In most cases, also you can use horticultural oils, which also does not cause harm to the leaves and able to deter them and keep the spider mites away. The other factor that I also noticed that at the edge of the stem, sometimes I find that ants seems to farm the mealybug on them. So these are the two most persistent pests that I've come across when it comes to Black Ripple Colocasia. But other than that, they are actually a hardy plant. Do keep an eye on that so that they do not succumb to pest problems. I also noticed that there are times that they will also develop tuber rot. Though they are able to handle hardy circumstances in a waterlogged system, but sometimes fungus may attack on the tuber and it will be too late to do anything about it. So there is a strong balance between overwatering and checking on tuber rot. So that's the idea here, is check and balance actually helps a lot in this kind of circumstances. If you have noticed from the first video, I'm actually taking a progressive video account of how it appears to be from a small plant and it has grown to a very well established plant. Do also take note that at times Black Ripple plant can go dormant if certain requirements are not met, especially heavy feeding and good sunlight. Also, I've come across that they also can go dormant if they do not receive good sunlight. So do pay attention, close attention to these matters, that if you find that your Black Ripple plant is losing its leaf and is not growing properly, do take note of the three most important elements, that is good sunlight, good watering, and heavy feeding, because these three actually ensure a good growth for your plant. Over here, I'm actually showing to you the difference of the Black Magic Colocasia. Earlier it was actually very green and I was not sure what was the actual problem. First I thought it was a lack of sunlight. Then I realized that after putting heavy fertilizer on that, they started to turn black. So I find that it's not just the sun that makes them to turn from green to black, but it's also feeding factor involved to make them turn in black. Once the plant has established itself and has grown big, you can actually propagate them using root division by taking out the whole plant out and planting them separately. In my case, I'm actually very happy how it is actually grown, so I'm not planning to make any propagation for this moment of time. When it comes to pruning, I must mention to you that do prune off when the leaf is 50% have dried out or burnt away. That is what I've realized, that is my rule of thumb. When I find that the leaf is heavily burned or withered away, often when it turns to become very matured and dried out, especially when it comes more than 50%, I normally trim off the leaves. So you can leave them unattended, or you can actually do the pruning, but it doesn't really make much of a difference. It may also help to deter pests, especially dying and drying leaf. Keeping the plant clean actually helps a lot. here I'm actually showing to you my Black Magic Colocasia, and I want to show to you the difference of how I've cultivated it. When it comes to Black Magic Colocasia, this would be the most easiest plant to cultivate, and in certain cases, if they are doing very well, they tend to put up runners out of the root ball and appear to become more like invasive plant. So do keep in mind that their growing habits can be unruling. So in a way, check on them often, because if you're planting them with another planting pot, they tend to become invasive. Over here we can notice they have turned black, whereas over here the same plant has turned to become a bit greenish due to lack of nutrients. So they are a heavy feeding plant, so and also required to have a good direct sunlight to keep them in color. So keep in mind that if you are planning to have a black collection of a Black Colocasia plant, I would really recommend the Black Magic type, because I find that this one seems to be far more hardy, and when it comes to purchasing them from nurseries, these are very much affordable and cheap comparable to the other types, especially the ripple and the coral. I find that in comparison to other types, this one I would actually recommend for new beginner to try on their hands first before getting the other rare and expensive ones. When it comes to its care and maintenance, it is very much similar as the ones that I've mentioned earlier. Another Colocasia type that I would like to recommend and introduce here is this Colocasia Illustris. I find that this is one of the unique ones where it appears to be very much similar like the Black Magic Colocasia. Over here it has this black kind of black colorization, more like patches on the leaf, and they tend to actually turn black over time depending on the amount of sunlight it receives and the much of the food of the feeding that it comes by. I also noticed that if in comparison with the Black Magic, when it's in shade, the leaves tend to become more greener. If you notice, I'm actually making a comparison with the Black Magic Colocasia. I also find that this particular one do go dormant time to time. So growing them in a proper medium, especially the waterlogged medium with strong organic fertilizer, actually make them to grow more in a optimum condition. Lack of the leaves will turn to become very small and may not be very strong standing. Over here, this is what I meant. Actually, this small sprouts of Illustris actually growing in another pot where it is not water bound, and it appears to be very small and insignificant. So this is what you actually receive if you do not give them a proper condition for them to grow as such as this. However, I find that this particular one seems to be very hardy and free from pest or fungus problem. So in a way, I find that Black Magic and Illustris seems to be more hardier than Black Coral and Black Ripple Colocasia. Over here is my very old video which I've incorporated here for reference purpose, where I want to show the difference of how it appeared to be way back then in years ago when I've cultivated them. And I find that over the years they can actually grow bigger and more robust in comparison as when they are cultivated very well without any problems. I also have made some few mistakes where cultivating other plants together with the Black Ripple seems to rob of their nutrients and make the plant go dormant. One of the reasons why I've cultivated other companion plants together with the Black Ripple is to deter the mosquito problem. However, it also causes a factor where only one plant seems to survive. Over here, if you notice, my Black Ripple plant seems to be very small and in a miniature version due to lack of food. So as I mentioned earlier, they do require a strong fertilizer in them, and they may not do well with competition, especially when I planted these water lettuce together with it to deter the mosquito breeding problem. So hence it is going to be a trial and error as the years goes by. Do cultivate and keep record of why and what are the factors involved that they will actually grow better. In my case, they do require a direct hot sunlight and good watering and good fertilizing for their optimum growth. So do take note in these conditions, and you can actually see also the element where there is a very airy wind blowing on them also gives them a kind of a feature where they actually dance in the wind. Over here, I want to show to you my pest problem, especially the spider mites. This is actually the attack of the spider mite. In this particular video, I want to show to you how to determine and identify the problem. When it comes to spider mite, you will see there is a slight difference on the colorization on the leaves. There will be sort of like a kind of a rusty look on the leaf where the spider mites actually are drinking the sap of the leaves. This infection actually have taken place to most of my garden plants recently over some time ago, which I have no idea what actually has caused them. Hence, what I've done here is I have actually trimmed off most of the leaves which is infected, because I find that using a lot of the pesticide upon them seems to make no difference. Hence, doing two factors where pruning off the badly infected leaves, and also 2 to 3 days I have been spraying neem oil and neem soap together with it to handle the pest problem. Hence, after about 2 to 3 weeks, there is no attack on the plants so far. So in any case, do check on this factor or on the cases of why is this attack. So I have not able to determine exactly what is the actual problem, but I've suspected that it could be organic fertilizer, especially the chicken manure, that could be the culprit. So do check on it. In most cases, manures can be one of those culprits that can actually cause this problem. Hence, after that, I have stopped using chicken manure in this instance. However, I only found the attack seems to take place only for Black Ripple, Xanthosoma and teacup Colocasia, whereas there is no attack found on the Black Magic collection. So in a way, I realized that the spider mites do tend to attack only at certain types of species, especially the weaker plants. Anyway, I'm coming to my closure here. If you have any questions, do put them in the comment below, and I'll try my best to answer them as my best ability as possible. If you can, please do subscribe and like my channel. I really appreciate if you can support my channel. Thank you so much, and stay safe and enjoy gardening. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.